So my question is that, do you think we have seen this reassessment of Chinese influence within Honduras from your observation on the ground?
There has definitely been a reassessment, and I think that there's many things that were like promised at the beginning. Like we heard that they were gonna get like hundreds, if not thousands, of scholarships, and like 3 years later, only in August, like an agreement was signed, and only 27 people got a scholarship. In comparison, Taiwan used to give like around 50 to 60 scholarship for civilian people, plus around 10 to 20 for military personnel. So we definitely lost there. Also, the access to the giant market never really materialized. There was a trade agreement that was promised, and it was negotiated over and over for several months. And it could be that they switched the relationship back to Taiwan, and the trade agreement never was signed. All of this time. Also, as I mentioned, the shrimp, they promised that they will give us like access to their giant market to sell more shrimp. And the head of this like shrimp farms said that they were ready to produce like around 250 containers, but on 2024 China only bought one. Yes, so that's like a very striking number, and like we were saying before, basically that cost like thousands of losses in jobs. And on top of that, like this is something that Salvador Nasrallah was saying, that basically the price of coffee has dropped like by half, because like, yes, they have access to a giant market, but there's a lot of competition over there. So actually they have to lower the price in order to stay competitive. So they're selling more, but like at lower price. So it's not really, like a win for the coffee producers. So I think that there hasn't been anything that we can like point out and say like, okay, this maybe was better. And there was like the reason why the switch became like a reality. It was because supposedly China was gonna provide money to build a dam, which was called Patuca II. But that project, to my knowledge, it hasn't started. So on reality, like I'm not sure exactly what is it that the government was promised. I know like some of the promises that were made publicly, but at least the ones that were made publicly have not materialized.
But interestingly enough, some like minor projects all of a sudden have been reactivated from China during the election year in Honduras, right? Why is that?
Well, basically, the reason I think is because like after the primary elections, probably China had a sense that the Libre Party, which is like the party that, basically made this diplomatic switch, could lose the elections. So what they started doing is like trying to reactivate their embassy, and like, for example, they reactivated like the scholarship program, which they didn't since 2023. They also signed some contracts to buy shrimp that was signed in China, and with the presence of our ambassador, Salvador Moncada. They also invited people from the government, from parliament, with an all-paid trip to China just to visit and get to know like the country, and it was headed by the Libre delegation. And they also made some donations of computers to Congress, which was like heavily publicized it's usually not like that. Like governments donate things to the government of Honduras, and usually they don't go into like the official channels or the social media accounts, but in this case it was. So I think that it was kind of like a reactive diplomacy. They were trying to make themselves liked or known to the candidates that had like very, very loudly said that they were thinking about a switch, just to try to avoid that switch from happening in case of what is happening right now, that is possibly the victory of an opposition candidate.